Good morning. You are watching Beyond the Headlines on Freedom Square TV, reaching you from our Enugu studios. On May 29th, 2023, Dr. Barrister Peter Ndubisimba was sworn in as the governor of Enugu State. Today is actually July the 29th. That makes it 26 months. Dr. Peter Mba took the saddle or mounted the saddle of governance in Enugu State. Prior to his election, he made robust campaign promises. As he assumed office, he has embarked on a disruptive innovation in the state. This morning, I'm being joined by the state deputy chairman of the PDP, former secretary of the PDP, former commissioner for information, former special advisor to the governor of Enugu State on information, and recently the chairman, Southeast Disciplinary Committee of the PDP, Barrister Steve Oruruo. Barrister, good morning and welcome to Freedom Square TV.
A very good morning to you and good morning to the listeners.
Okay, let's just shoot straight. 26 months down the line, from your vantage position, give us a panoramic view of what you think or your overall assessment of the performance of the PDP-led government in Enugu State over the past 26 months.
Well, I would say from a very exciting point of view, there has been a blistering performance. There has been, an astronomical rise in terms of the stock of qualitative governance in Nigeria. Enugu has become the epicenter. Enugu has become the heartbeat of exciting and qualitative demonstration of the least that Nigerian people should deserve. We live in a climate where the post-colonial Africa has really suffered so much in terms of inept leadership, in terms of profligate leadership, in terms of, abysmal demonstration of a brand of leadership that shouldn't be befitting of African people. Where these leaders had contributed and conspired, working under the weight of neocolonialism to bring to their own people suffering and difficulties. But today, a shining light has come, a departure to that order has come. And the 2023 election was also a demonstration of the frustration of the Nigerian people. It was a testament of their discontent with what perhaps appeared to them as misrule. So they needed a government. They were craving for a government that would respond to the plight of the people, to the suffering of the people, to the yearning of the people. And the government of Governor Peter Ndubisimba has clearly become a departure to pedestrian and profligate leadership. So what he has done is that he has placed premium on the weight of the people, on the importance of the people, on the citizen's charter. And he understands that the biggest office, as far as positioning and political position is concerned, is the office of the citizenry. So he has attached every weight to them. So very quickly, let me begin to also run out these positions. Like I said, it is not in my position to try to inordinately praise people given mandates to govern their people. If they didn't want to be in those positions, they should drop, or they should resign, or should not contest. So I don't pour encomiums or plaudits on people that are in offices. I allow them to work and also try as much as possible to scrutinize the efforts of the government. But when a government becomes exceptionally, distinctively better than the rest, then it calls for a little bit of praises to as a point of inspiration, to motivate, to galvanize the spirit of the leader. So Governor Peter Ndubisimba, first of all, has dismantled inequalities, dismantled inequities, and disequilibrium by making sure that the projects he's bringing to Enugu is being well disseminated to all facets, to all corridors, without recourse to any sentimentality of biases, of clannishness, of sectionalism, or cronyism of any kind. So in the first instance, let's look at the education sector. It will make a meaning.
I think I'll come in there. We're going to do this sectorally. I just wanted to have in a capsule a view.
Yes. So cap it up here if
Yes.
that's what you're looking for.
Yes.
It's an exciting moment for the people of Enugu sectorially. The government has been exquisite and sublime in terms of pouring out or churning out, results, churning out productivity, providing on the doorsteps of people the basic amenities as expected by the masses. And again, the governor has also respected these people by trying as much as possible to make sure that there's fairness in distributions. And moreover, the kind of practice we have today is a scenario where individual persons, no matter how highly placed, how lowly placed, are respected. And he has redefined the imagination of the ordinary Nigerian person about politics and politicians. Ordinarily, Nigerians lately view politicians as, or the Nigerian politician, as, a person whose job is just to siphon the commonwealth of the people. So they look at them as an idle, parasitic, rent-collecting class. That image has been corrected very, quickly by the person of the governor and the style of leadership.
Okay, thank you very much for that overview of your personal thoughts of the overall performance of the governor of Enugu, the PDP government actually, because we're talking about PDP-led government.
Yes.
And that's to say the governor's manifesto aligns in toto with the aspirations of the PDP as a political party.
Yes. But let me also weigh in here. Yes. I think I need to be very sincere. The Nigerian people have been pummeled, they've been tortured, they've been vilified. They've faced the ignominy of having barrage of bad governance, who've been humiliated in the process. So now, Nigerian people are not interested in party politics. And I can tell you for free, that political parties are mere conduit pipes through which aspirations are fulfilled. And these political parties do not have distinctive, manifestos really. There seems to be a way of connected to the manifestos of parties in Nigeria. Now, you could see the semblance. And that's why the girl of the future is also looking as if he's not being guided by principles.
So, are you by implication, but this is your last comment, indicating or expressing a view that parties, and your party, the PDP, has no sustainable manifesto?
No, what I'm trying to say in effect is that today, the citizens look up to the leadership, and the governors in various subnationals symbolize the leadership. If they are viewed as doing the correct thing, the masses will follow him, not necessarily the party. That's the truth of the matter.
We'll come to that point very shortly. But let's take a look at sectorally the high points and perhaps the low points of this PDP-led, for now it's a PDP-led administration. Nobody becomes the governor without a party ticket. So it is assumed rightly or wrongly that he runs on the manifesto of the party. And so if the manifesto of the party is not in tandem with the wishes, he ought not to run on that political party. And if he does that without aligning, perhaps one thing would have been that he gave them a fake promissory note. But that's not the case here. So Peter Barr under the platform of the PDP, and he's a member of the PDP. Let me start with one sector that would appear to be very close to his heart. And that's the water resources sector. On assumption of office, His Excellency was thirsty. He was hungry to develop Enugu around. And one of the things they felt that was just something he would do, a low-hanging fruit, was the water issue. And he made a bold statement. In 180 days, we're going to have water. He set out to do that very vigorously. I recall before the 180 days, we started seeing burst pipes everywhere. But after that, it appeared that the vision is going down. What's happening in the water sector from the advantage position?
Well, thank you for saying from my vantage position.
Yes.
From my distant position as well. The truth is that I will not speak for the Commissioner for Water Resources, but being a party person who is interested in leadership and who has professed qualitative governance as the anchor of politics, let me say this. His Excellency the Governor, operating through his government, from the blast of the whistle, knew that water was important. And if you're looking for necessaries of life, water is also ranking. And he set out with a mission to address that water problem in Enugu. It has been a perennial problem. It's not a problem that started in this regime. It has always been there, in terms of challenges. What did the government do? They decided to discountenance with the old order, given that they needed a robust attempt at revamping that sector. And he made a firm promise that in 6 months, actually, that there will be water. Another 6 months, water started gushing in Enugu. But let me tell you what is there. The vision of the state is to have a system where water will be everywhere, in almost in every doorsteps, and not just in zones or areas, but in doorsteps. That's the mission. But it's going to be a tall order. First of all, what did Enugu do? What did the government of Enugu do? What we are generating on daily basis was just about 2 million, liters of water. And Enugu actually needs 70 million liters of water per day. But this government, through the quality of, a water plant they established, and the 4 mega gas plant, producing cover or providing cover for it, that we are generating 120 million liters of water per day today. We're above the requirement of what the Enugu actually needs. But the problem or the devil is in reticulation. The asbestos pipes that were in place, they are completely bad. And today, as we are making the changes, trying to bring in 9 whatever pipes, the quality of pipe they have in place today, being circulated everywhere, the pace, is being frustrated by buildings and other encroachments from the original master plan. So the Ministry of Water will actually express and explain more in this order. But these are the encumbrances that are being meticulously approached at the moment. And the fullness of time, you see that water will actually be everywhere. That's the target.
Yes, we're all witnesses to those challenges, but it's to promises made, making promises that should be kept. Yes, there was a man who was here said bold and audacious and courageous pronouncements by the governor that they are quite out of this world. It would appear that proper feasibility was not done in making that proclamation and going forward as a party. But what we're doing here is not to say anything that is out of place, but to provide a platform for future commitments, so that in a zeal, in a genuine zeal to develop a state, you don't make a promise without proper feasibility.
I would beg to disagree with you, sir. Even from the point I've railed out here, I've told you that the water we have today, in terms of productivity, is by far the requirement of the state, which is 70 million. We're producing 120 million. And what we are doing now is to reticulate. And the pains are there, the difficulties are there, the encumbrances are there. They are being dismantled. They are being attacked viciously to make sure that it comes to fruition in terms of perfection. But there's no perfection on the face of the sun.
Yeah.
And when you look at the antecedents of a government, when you look at the precedents of a government, when you look at the activities of the government in other sectors, it becomes a glimpse of what that government can do in reality. It becomes a glimmer of hope, a glimmer of discontent as to what government can do. In other sectors, promises made, promises fulfilled.
Okay, let's move to other sectors. But the implication of the last statement. In other sectors, promises made are kept.
I am here.
In that sector, promises made.
I am here.
Okay, let's take. You wanted to start on education, and I love that. So speak to what government has done to improve public infrastructure, school infrastructure, and the welfare of teachers over the past 26 months.
Well, let me also reiterate the fact that the present administration has been very consistent in making sure that the NCPEM and PPSMB function, at the best possible level. All the um, necessary provisions have been made for them to function. Schools have been maintained, everything that they need actually in terms of countable funding, to Abuja and other places. That have been done and it's going well. And students from anywhere are still winning awards here and there. And a testament of the fact that the education system is very healthy. But beyond the facets of what you see today, lies the fact that there is a deliberate intention by this government to create what is called a smart green school. And that smart green school is being erected in 260 wards, political wards of the state. What is the vision here? It's not just about the gigantic houses and the monumental buildings that you see, but the fact that within the context of this building lies the fact there will be a science lab. Of course, there will be spaces, solar powered spaces for experiential learning. And of course, there will be education system that captures a child from the age of 3. What is the vision? The vision is that the child begin to learn robotics, mechatronics, artificial intelligence, visual and augmented realities, and other innovations at a very tender age, so that not only that we deal with theory this time, but we deal with practicals. He expects that a child will start producing at home and not just having a new kind of life. So whatever that is the practice in the United States, in Europe, and the entire Western world is being, gradually instilled into these kids. And it's a school that appears to be an equalizer of some sort. It is a school that provides an equilibrium of some sort. The child of the richest person and that of the poorest person, and my own child will be in the same class. Meaning that if it is the best school in the Enugu, you have no business sending your children to private schools. And the Enugu people, for instance, the Nigerian people, if you may, are really suffering under the weight of school fees now from the private sector. And let me tell you something. Most of the leaders of Nigeria today were actually trained in public schools. Was it not Mangalore logics and defying all imagination, as much as it builds up credulity, that these people are watching while the schools suffer? So a certain leadership has come now to address it. Well, the vision is that our children, our young people, need to be connected to the world new order. And that's what that school is about to produce. And let me tell you, there will be food for the students, there will be buses to convert them to and fro. And there will be no school fees. So that's why I call it equalization. It's a leveler. It's just like when you come into a mosque or a church, you expect that everybody will be equal. That's what has been restored. It is unprecedented. And when it takes off, in effect, it's going to be wonderful. The president on the 4th of January commissioned the very first, or one of the very few ones that are already ready. But we're expecting that over 60% will be ready by September.
Okay,
this is just a segment of that. If you go to IMT, for instance, where Professor Chigozie is operating today, they have gotten almost all the accreditations that they want. Same with ESU. I was with Excellency the Governor when he visited ESU on a particular program and said very clearly that they expect all schools in Enugu to go into experiential learning. No longer theory. So, and having said this will take us back. I watched, delightfully, as President Ruto of Kenya, alongside other presidents in London, with the Prime Minister of Britain, talk about the education and the need to have 15 to 20% of every budget, back to education. But Enugu, for instance, in the whole of this country, has given education more attention than every other person. Enugu has placed 33.2% of its budget solely for education. What more can you think of?
Yeah, and basically, if I align with your thoughts, basically the highest in Nigeria, in any state, and even higher than the federal average. Yet I'm going to talk about the 260 smart schools. It is a flagship uh, program of this administration, and no doubt is a laudable one. It's innovative and disruptive. However, this Oba Ubuabo, when he saw the flyer inviting you, sent in this about the smart school, he said in 1 month, 3 smart schools under construction collapsed or were demolished, according to government officials, for failing integrity tests. None of them has carried any load, nor tested by erosion, heavy wind, or landslide, and 3 already failed integrity tests. Will you honestly, that's the question, send a child you love to set of structures or to set of structures that are routinely failing in integrity tests? Now, beyond that, we saw, or perhaps let me put it more correctly, monitoring and evaluation, a very beautiful project started by the governor. Contractors are messing it up. You can start a good program, and if you don't have monitoring and evaluation, some people can even sabotage your program. But there was no reason, given the humongous cost of those projects, for somebody, for a contractor. The last one they just did was that demolish the staircases because it was bad. And so the fear this person is expressing, which I need you to address, is what will happen when children begin to attend them and begin to play, begin to run around.
Okay, let me respond to this question. I sympathize with the emotions of Chizoba and his fears as well. It is not misplaced. But let me address it very quickly. Integrity test in question, was it conducted by who? The government is still the one conducting integrity tests because the government has a standard that cannot be compromised. This particular government has a benchmark when it comes to standard practices. And they're the ones condemning, they're the ones bringing that if necessary. There are layers of scrutiny, layers of checks, as far as smart school is concerned. Is an area that I can speak very well about. From the government perspective at the state level, to the ministry level, to the local government level, to the chieftaincy level, at the community level, and every other leader at the local government at the ward level comes in with a different level of check. So it is out of these checks that if there's anything, any suspicion of any kind that can truncate this vision, it will burn down very quickly. And I can tell you, if you are spotting 3 faults out of 260, schools, section of the schools, not all the schools. When you hear bringing down, it's a section, for instance. Not all the smart schools. Anything that first to pass that test will be brought down. The government can't compromise standards. I've said that repeatedly. So this is what is going on. It's something I know very well. And let me also commend the Secretary to the State Government. He's led a very strong team from the blast of the West.
Many will not agree with you.
It does not matter.
Let me tell you why.
I am highly opinionated, and I know that.
Yes,
I know that I am very articulate and very committed to.
That is all. Let's you just got into it. Many will not agree with you. Yes, there was a plan set by the government for monitoring.
Yes.
And it fell on the shoulders of the Secretary to Government.
Yes.
We are citizens of Enugu State.
Yes.
Part of the money used in building those are taxpayers' money.
Yes.
Now, the last time I checked, the Secretary to the Government is not an electrical engineer. The last time I checked, he's not a quantity surveyor. The last time I checked, he's not a mechanical engineer. He's a professor of education. Beyond optics, what happened to this government is our own. And so we must speak truth to power. I've followed that, what you call a visitation. I think it's for optics.
Well, let me be honest with you. I disagree with you whole and entire here.
Is that right?
No, it's my right. And yes. I'm within that right.
Yes.
I disagree whole and entire. I've been part of this process. The SSG leads the team or led the team in any occasion does not mean that it's leading the technical team. There are layers of men within the technical side of that supervision. He does not conduct supervision. He leads only the team. And it doesn't mean when you see something that's white, it becomes black because it's secondary to the state government. It underlines the seriousness, the commitment of the government to allow the secretary of the government to move around for this purpose. There are many architects, many builders, many engineers from the Ministry of Works, even those directly under the governor. It's a combined team.
You know,
and I'm speaking authoritatively.
You know, you got into
it's something I know.
You know, you got into an 18-yard box now.
It's something I know very well.
You got into an 18-yard box now.
And I was caught.
And let me tell you why you got into the 18-yard box. If that supervision was as strong as they were, most of these buildings that got to the level they were brought down wouldn't have gotten to that level.
Let me be honest with you.
Whatever were issues would have been found
out of 260 smart schools, and you have a section of 3 smart schools. A section.
They didn't tell you that
a section of the 3 smart schools that will have cause of suspicion to bring down. It is not an aberration.
Certainly not. It's low.
It's not an aberration.
But it speaks volume.
Well, we are not expecting perfection under the face of the sun. You still have a chance. It's better for you to stop anything that's not going well now than when it becomes late.
I agree with you on that. And so let's move to the health sector. Again, if you ask me to accuse President Barr of enemies, I will accuse him of being overambitious. But that speaks to his ambition to transform the state. And that vision is anchored on that every part of Enugu State must be developed. And that speaks when he reduces to a ward development, not even a community, ward development. But the communities you go that have maybe 1 or 2 words. So what he's doing in education, he has also started doing in the health care. Can you speak to that vision and why it is important to this government?
The vision is very clear. It's I think the challenge here is that our governor is in a haste to restore sanity, to restore orderliness, to bring back the nostalgic feelings of the Igbo people. It's a kind of what the performance is reminiscent with what Azikiwe and Omala did before the Civil War, where the Southeast suddenly became the fastest growing region in the entire world. This is a nostalgic reflection of what Governor Peter Barr is doing at the moment. So nobody should be surprised. And I tell you what, I don't know where he's drawing this inspiration. And even if I know that it could come from Omala and Azikiwe, I do not know where he's drawing the money from. But the truth is this, within the health sector, we have seen monumental shift. We have seen a massive drift from what it used to be. Take for instance in this regime, this government is building 260 type 2 health centers in all political wards of the state. Not just building, but equipping, of which I've witnessed. And when I listened to the leader of the Southeast delegation from the World Health Organization speak about this primary health care, I was really touched. He talked about the staff quarters, the presence of the staff quarters, because most of the healthcare facilities we had in the past, we didn't accommodate residential quarters for those who work there. So there became major problems. And remember, there's clean water in this health center, and there's also solar energized solar energy through a collaboration with the European Union, all within the health sector. So they are furnished, they are prepared, they are ready, for our people. I haven't said this as if it's not even enough. When I spoke with the executive secretary of the primary health, we talked about the third, that's a type 3 primary health also about to come up. But I can tell you for free that if you get to Baraskia, for instance, you see that a 300-bed hospital is germinated with speed. And this time there is to do what? So that we want to have a massive hospital that will accommodate intellectual property from the West, expertise and professionalism from people from this side, and also have all the equipment required for diagnosis.
How affordable?
And having said this,
how affordable are these
hospitals? Let me tell you things. That's why it marvels everyone in terms of the quality of performance we are seeing in Enugu. And where is the government driving the money? And that's the inspiration that comes for payment of tax. But having mentioned this, This is the vision. We do not want a situation, held escapades abroad. We do not want all that to happen. And then it becomes a typical example of how not to get it wrong. So anybody who is sick in Lagos, come to Enugu. If you are sick in Ibadan, come to Enugu. If you are sick in Kano, come to Enugu. That's the vision. And I hope that by the grace of God, when it is ready, the world will see. I don't want to mention other areas, but clearly you can see the direction that the government is going to. So in the health sector, it has been progress upon progress. We do not want the exodus going on. So our young doctors are leaving this country for Saudi Arabia, for UK, for all manner of obscure countries in search of greener pastures. Let us have a system they can trust. People are leaving this country because they can't trust the country anymore. So if you have a leadership that will bring back the nostalgic feelings of the past, they will have reasons to remember that the Sheikh, the king of Saudi, used to come to the University of Ibadan teaching hospital for treatment. These are possible. These things are still very much possible. We can't do this as Africans.
Okay, I like this positive outlook, and on that we'll take a short break. When we come back, we're going to speak to the issue of security. We're going to speak to the issue of taxation that you raised, that is actually causing ripples within the populace. And of course, we'll talk the issue of the one that everybody feels and touches, the road infrastructure that's going on in Enugu State. We'll be back shortly. Welcome back. You are still watching Beyond the Headlines on Freedom Square TV. My guest is still Barrister Oruruo, Deputy State Chairman of the PDP, and of course, he is the chairman of the Southeast Disciplinary Committee of the People's Democratic Party, the PDP. Barrister, I've been around Enugu for a pretty long time, from 1999. And one thing I noticed that successive governments rarely touched projects started by their predecessors. But with Barrister Peter, there seemed to be a radical shift. What are your thoughts on those?
Well, let me reiterate the fact that the governor of the state, the current governor of the state, has come to clean up the city and is approaching that with dispassionate mindset. So anything that we had in the past, built or attempted to be built by other governors, we are done with in good faith, in the interest of the masses. So you cannot abandon that for anybody. And that brings us to the question of our prestigious presidential hotel. I was lying in comatose for, about 25 years or thereabout. And it has been lying in ruins, if you may. And suddenly, with all the legal encumbrances, with all the challenges bedeviling, against this place, a certain governor came and dismantled that legal encumbrances and made sure that government took charge. And when you say the government is not good in doing business, it shouldn't be a business, and one begins to wonder if the leadership today will be part of that assessment. But having said that, the presidential hotel is standing elegantly, to the chagrin of even naysayers and producers. And today we are proud, our pride is back. The hotel that had been built in the past, and we had all celebrated as well in the past. But today, suddenly, look at where we are. We watched in anguish as that place looked like not only moribund, but a disaster. And a total embarrassment to the state. But today, that has been revived, that has been revamped, that has been reactivated, and that has been rebuilt again. And everybody is happy for it. So in a matter of days or weeks or thereabout, Presidential Hotel will come alive. And quickly, if you also move in that direction, you see within the same zone you find a certain conference center called the International Conference Center. That was started by Governor Chimaroke Numani and didn't get to the final lap. And for over 25 years again, we stood there as a source of shame to the state. And how did we manage 2 decades without looking at this? And somehow, with all the theories we have had, with all the conspiracy of silence that have bedeviled the place, that have truncated the possibility of, reenacting this edifice, or trying to bring up this monument, suddenly one man has come with the right courage, with the will, with the political will to resolve the problems. And he has resolved that. And today, the president of the country commissioned that place on the 4th of January. And today, again, a body as prestigious as MBA, having abandoned Port Harcourt, the next choice was difficult for them. Everybody is trying to come to Enugu, and Enugu is the destination. And I can tell you, in first will also be here. And several other bodies, even the medial, team within the presidency, have slated to also come to Enugu for their conference or for their retreat. So Enugu is the place to go. And when you do that, you must have considered all factors, the ambience, the security, and other issues around Enugu that will motivate people to actually make the choice. So it's a glimmer of hope, but a glimpse of many more things to come. So Enugu has suddenly become the signage of all eyes, given that just with these two examples. But I think that was not enough. Let's also go to the UPPL, which is this company, and that has been touched, just like Niger Gas has also been improved upon. Just like flour mill has been improved upon. I talked about United Palm Products Limited, actually. Where the government has invested over 100 billion naira through the PPP. So all those moribund companies are coming back with good effect. And the Aluminium Company Limited in the Great City has also come alive under this regime. So I could keep on mentioning and mentioning. Flurry of activities going on at that level, just trying to bring back our industries and bring back industrialization. There's a sense in which I feel there's a unity of purpose between whatever that could be done by or was done by the likes of Barr, the great Barr, and what Governor Peter Barr is doing today. So tomorrow will tell the stories.
You see a link.
And having said this, do you know?
Sorry, you see a link. You show the vision, the copies of the Anioke and that of Esther. Then the same time. You see a synergy, you see a link.
No, the link is very clear. The link is all about productivity. It's all about, having the people in mind. It's all about aspiration to put the people first. We do not want a situation where the political space will be emasculated just to improve the fortune, to improve the coffers of individual persons. We want the public interest to be accentuated to the highest level. And this is what the governor has come to do. And everybody is wondering, if you can do this under 2 years, what is going to happen under 4 years? What will happen under 8 years?
Because of time, let's go to security. Early in the year, somebody had invited me for a training in soccer. I told him if I don't have an armada of security people, I wasn't going to go. And he laughed. He eventually did that. And as we drove to Osaka, I saw security checkpoints almost half a kilometer each. In fact, if you are standing here, you see another, you see another, you see another, you see another. And I've heard so much about one novel achievement of Dr. Peter Barr, which is the Command and Control Center. I had the privilege with a group of analysts to visit the Command and Control Center. And we watched clearly where from that structure and see every nook and cranny, first of the metropolis of Enugu and beyond. In spite of that, you still have pockets of crime, because you can't possibly eliminate that. What was that peak of the man Peter Barr?
Well, the man Peter Barr represents tenacity of will, the unyielding African spirit, a sense of resilience and perseverance accustomed to our traditional leaders in the past. The man Peter Barr is a symbol of, a renaissance, a rebirth, a reconnection with the strength of the typical African personality. And he has come to redefine, to reassess the situation and also improve on whatever we have on the ground. He wants to build a new order. He wants to be a departure from the profligate, pedestrian, and inactive, kind of leadership. He wants to carve a niche for himself. It is very clear. It is very manifest. So having said this, he has the audacity. He has a sense of authority. He has the command to say, stop the operations of North State Accord. It was not fashionable when he came into office to say, let this thing stop. Monday sit at home. By the way, Igbo, as you know, are clearly the most capitalist people, most productive people, industrious people, egalitarian people on earth. I can say this without mixing words. The greatest intellectual property of the league is the ability to turn out something from nothing in terms of trading and business. And we lost billions of dollars within the time that on Mondays, Igbo sat at home. The only governor who came and approached him with frightening audacity is still the person of Peter Barr. He said no, he called the bluff of North State Accord. I said no, if you are going to agitate in a constructive way that will beget success for our people. Do not kill yourself in the name of defending yourself. Nobody does it. It's an inverse logic. It is retractive. So he had the sense of command and sense of direction to say enough is enough. Let's come together and live as a people. Let's stop this inordinate killings, unbridled killings. Let's stop this terrorism that we're growing at home and embrace a leadership and a followership that will encapsulate the yearnings of labor and protect our intellectual property, protect our businesses. And that was actually the part. Having said this, he didn't do that in isolation. He did mention clearly the issue of the control command center. It's a wonderful edifice, well equipped with all manner of facilities needed to unravel criminality at highest level. The president also commissioned it. Having said this, he bought 150 AI equipped vehicles and also brought another vehicle, making 300 vehicles for the security agencies, just to make sure that people are protected. And you can agree with me too, that this security is mutating. It's evolving. It is not something that you can summarily conclude. It keeps, as you develop ideas on how to stop criminality, they also develop leakages here and there. That's why in America, on a daily basis, you see controversies, you see issues of criminality here and there. The same thing with the UK and other places. So it's something that will keep handling, keep tackling, keep pursuing, keep repackaging, But one thing is very clear. He has engendered a re-engineering of the mentality of the people. Now, together we can survive. Together we can fight criminality. Together we can say no to brigandage.
Still staying on security. I had the privilege, let me say privilege, but it's a walking tour to the Akpof farm estates. That's just a local government away from yours.
Yes.
The journey wasn't easy, but we got Akpof. And we were told by General Commissioner for Agric, Special Advisor to the Governor on Agric, and then the consultant to the Governor on farm estates, like Sunny, that place we visited used to be the den, the harbor, the home of these North State actors. And we witnessed the transformation in what described using food security to fight food security. We're also told there's one in somewhere in Isuzu and another in Ete, the ongoing. And so, what does that speak to using other means apart from guns and cars to fight the security of this government?
Well, that's why they talk about kinetic and non-kinetic approaches to solving insecurity. So some people go into criminality. I'm not trying to justify it. When they see hopelessness staring at them, when they see inactivity on the side of government, people give you responsibility to hold the common patrimony, the common resources of people, and to manage it for them. When they see that people also go into governance simply to loot, and looting at an industrial scale, it can also, motivate people, incentivize the idea of criminality. And this is why you must lead by example. You must lead in a way that will encourage people to do right. When behaving right and being on the side of civic responsibility, when they fail to patronize the idea of working hard for the government and obeying the law, they will live in a lawless place. So we cannot have people that have reduced our beautiful societies into a lawless kingdom. Governors and be celebrating their looting just before the people. So the idea of governing in a way that will mitigate the suffering of the people, solve their problems, give them hope, create a semblance of law and order, and give them impetus to believe that obedience is better than disobedience. Then you see gradually people will begin to be corrected. Otherwise, they remain incorrigible. Okay, so that idea of solving insecurity with the agenda of providing food and avenues for people to explore and work and have a freer society where everybody will aspire without having encumbrances or challenges or impediments or without being, this country, let me tell you, is beginning to, I'm getting emotional about it, that we have witnessed a country that has been bedeviled, that have been punished for too long by the conspiracy of ethnic chauvinism and religious bigotry, ethnic profiling, identity politics. People do not get results out of them or out of merit, out of qualification. So all that, if addressed, this country will be better.
Yeah, Barrister, time is ticking, and I'm going to give you a liberty of 2 minutes. Is there any aspect of governance, before I go into party politics, is there an aspect of governance of Enugu State in the past 2 years that you wish to specifically address?
Come on.
Just before we go into...
I hope 2 minutes will be enough, but let me very quickly tell you something.
Yes.
If you want to come into any city, the window that showcases that city is the transportation system. So it would have been a disservice to the masses if we don't discuss transportation.
Under
this government, let me be honest with you, there is a rising crescendo of trust and belief on the side of the populace. Even that if you go to Opera Square, you see the arrival of 200 CNG buses parked already.
So I think he has stayed too long there.
No, just hold on.
No, I'm just
the important thing is that the government has a focus, they are spending the people's money carefully and judiciously, they are doing the right things, they are not being indolent.
Where are the buses?
They are not being
where will the buses be on the road?
Just hold on. Let me also inform you, for those who belong to the side of traducers and naysayers, let them know that 3,000 vehicles, cabs are coming for this state. Let them know that the rail system is being introduced. I was with the Commissioner for Transport just a few days ago, and was rolling out what they have in the kitty to present to the people. The people will soon get tired of hearing government developments here and there. It has become a way of life. It has become a mantra in this state that things must be done right. So having said this, if you also go to the airport, for the first time since the creation of Enugu State, and let me even shock you, for the first time since the old Anambra State, this is the first time an Igbo state is having a means of transportation by air of their own. And let me tell you also in Nigeria today, it is only a prime state that has flights in their name. But Enugu has come to stay under 2 years under Pitamba. We have Enugu Air and it's operational at the moment. What could have been more unprecedented than this? Having said this, let's abandon it because it is very clear, even for the blind to see. But let's go to Oruruo jet and waterways. Do you know that we have Oruruo jet and waterways to transport our goods down by sea? Under this regime, nobody knows this except you go to Uzuwa. And I put a naval base there using collaboration with the Navy. This is being done by this government. And let's also go to road construction very quickly. Do you know that this government has paved over 130 roads? They've done over 130 roads and about 300 roads already flagged off, both in rural and urban areas, mostly in the urban areas actually. And from Pelops down to Suka, you will see dualization of the road. It will happen. Whatever this government is saying, it comes to pass. He has that will. He has the political will. He has the tenacity of character. He has that image to protect. And he defends every statement that comes from him. So having said this, this is just part of what this government is doing. Let's quickly go to agriculture. They have set out 3,000 hectares just with a vision of having cassava ethanol productivity for exportation under this regime. And it's bringing out 200 hectares of land in every ward for as a land bank, as a matter of fact, for an industrial, or let's say agro-industrialization. Let's put it that way. Under this regime, just in one regime, just under 2 years. Do you know that 50 billion naira has been paid just to clear off the pension of people, of civil servants, and leave allowances? Also, billions paid by this government. And a law, an instruction, a law has been issued that on retirement, gratuities be paid immediately. What more can any government talk, any person within the government or within the state talk about? Remember, still under 2 years. So I can give you points after points while the Enugu man is craving for a better man.
Okay.
The worry now is not about his performance, it's about who replaces him. We want that sequence to flow.
That's still a long way from here. There are several issues. Time is not enough. If you think that in 1 hour you are going to exhaust what's going on in the state, like then we'll be mistaken. So,
but it will be unfair to our people if we don't explain how we are succeeding in the construction of roads. One of the biggest asphalt plants in Nigeria today has been built in Enugu by this government, owned by the state.
I visited the place.
It has become a feeder for the construction of roads. It makes it cheaper for roads to be constructed and easier. So this government will keep constructing roads till 8 years, non-stop, unabated.
Okay, thank you very much for your explanation and enthusiasm. You are the deputy chairman of the PDP in the States. And you are the chairman of the disciplinary committee of the PDP of the Southeast. Is there still PDP? The Southeast and the Enugu State. You still have the PDP?
Well, as of today,
or some people say
as of today,
they say it is in ICU,
a person,
intensive care unit.
A person of a flawless quality, a person of a learning designation, a person as professorial as you are, could have introduced me as deputy chairman of PDP if there was no PDP in Enugu.
Well, that's the name. Enugu State and the Southeast PDP fought a battle to produce the national secretary of the party. And just about a month or thereabout ago, they came up with a statement, a valid statement. It happened like on a Sunday or thereabout, that if the national PDP do not respect the wishes of the Southeast in producing the national secretary outside Secretariat, that they have no other choice but to seek relevance elsewhere. And 2 days after that pronouncement, Anyang was affirmed as national secretary of the PDP. That's when I said, are you still in PDP? Given this scenario. Given the commitment.
Well, you know, in human relationship, we'll continue to have friction, we'll continue to have robust dialogue in seeking way to solve human disputes, you know. So it goes on, it will continue to happen. But one thing must be well established. The Southeast, Ndi Igbo, have supported PDP more than every other zone. Remember that in 1999, given that even Ekweme himself, being a strong son of Igbo land, actually created the zoning system that began the 6 zones of the country. And everyone had expected him to be the first beneficiary of this zoning. But when the Muslim was chosen, we massively supported him. he got resounding and unprecedented support from the Southeast. And when power shifted to the North, Southeast returned audacious, massive support. Power shifted to the North again, came back to the third time to the South. Logics, common sense, reasoning would have said presidency be zoned to the Southeast. Everyone expected the Southeast for every other party to reason that Southeast should be accommodated. Given that even in the country we have three major ethnic groups, as I say, the Hausa, Fulani, Yoruba, and the Igbo. And suddenly, a conspiracy of silence, a conspiracy of wickedness, degenerated into a situation where the Southeast was shortchanged. So it's not a good sign in the first instance. And this process, this debacle has continued to the extent that when Southeast zone of the PDP comes up with a resolution, that resolution will be neglected by a certain ruling hegemony at the national level that has decided to kill this beautiful party. So having said this, we do not worry, and I enjoy my people not to worry anymore. Party politics or partisan politics or political parties are mere conduit pipes through which aspirations are fulfilled. I talked about the closeness, the proximity between these parties when it comes to, manifestos. There's no manifesto that is not wonderful. Most of them have lofty ideas about what will be good for the Nigerian people. But the pilots of these planes will matter. The drivers of these vehicles will matter. Who is the leader? Is he just rolling out what has been written for him? Or is he saying what he intends to do? So the masses have been deceived enough what they want and its result. They want a government that will perform. They want the people that can follow. They want the leadership that can trust. So when they see one, they will follow that leadership ad infinitum. So what I'm trying to state here is that clearly there is PDP, we are still in PDP, but we are looking up to the leader of the state. Wherever he chooses to go, we'll go. If he stands with PDP, we'll stand vigorously with him in PDP. If he chooses to go to another party, the people of Enugu, overwhelming in their number, will follow him. Because he has carved a niche, he has set a tone of leadership. Nobody in Enugu wouldn't want to have a society that accommodates the wishes of his children. The poorer majority must be protected. Where what they want is to partake in that national cake. And if there's a governor who is disseminating power, sharing legacies of productivities, sharing monuments that our children and grandchildren will see when they come up, nobody will elect not to follow him.
I like the vigor in your voice. Yes. I love the passion with which you've spoken these last 2 minutes. And that perhaps may speak to the grapevine stories making the round. That the PDP in Enugu State is about to collapse. And that the governor is, in a short while, is going to leave the PDP for another. Does your tone cause the claim?
Well, with the gain of defections we have seen in the country, with the massive movement to AGC and some other movements here and there, with the interchange of fire, exchange of fire from the Nigerian political class, one would expect that rumor mongering should be part of what we are doing. So it's not out of place to suspect that anybody can go to anywhere. But take it from me, as of today we are PDP. But we are not indolent people in PDP. We are not passive partakers or members of the PDP. When we have reasons to grumble, when we have reasons to resist, we will vigorously resist. And the leadership of the state, of the party in Enugu, is very organized, very disciplined, under the watch of the governor and the leader and the chairman of the party. The chairman who is very articulate and talks very less. Decisions will be taken at the apex level. And that decision will be in consultation with the masses, will be in consultation with the electorate. It will be a concerted effort to do right for the state. So if we are flying with it, the important thing is that the plane that will fly us to our destination, we want it to be held strong and capable of reaching that destination. We are interested in the confidence and the quality of the plane and not the color. So definitely we are following the party we know today is the governor of the state. If he breathes, he will breathe. If he takes a decision, we will follow him. So if he chooses to be in PDP, we are in PDP and today that's where he is. But I'm telling you that what is the link between us and him. Because I represent the masses, not just the party people. What is the connection between the electorate and the government? Is the quality of work we are seeing on the ground. Nobody wants to go back.
Okay, one or two questions before we begin to ask you to take your final. I like the way you've spoken about the PDP as it is, but equally, you say you lead the masses. I'm a street guy. You know, in the media, we go to places you may not go. We listen to people you may not listen to. And that speaks to the growing concern these past 2 years about government's involvement of key political actors that saw this government to election in 2023. You may dispute it, but it's palpable. You can feel it. Many political actors, active politicians, let me use the word, active politicians, rightly or wrongly, believe that in the past 2 years, they've not been carried along. And you, a seasoned politician, a technocrat, and the former secretary of the party, current deputy chairman, do you feel this tension? Because when you talk about people following, someone said you might go to the party. How many people are going to follow you to the party? So, how do you see this unspoken silence and frustration by party members?
Allow me to,
And in what they call, let me use the word, in what they call laptop administrators manning the state.
well, let me take care of it very exhaustively. The truth is this. The 2023 election was a testament of people's apparent rejection of what they considered inept leadership, both at the national and sub-national levels. People made bold statements. The ordinary people, violently, with every sense of aggressiveness, came out to demonstrate their intent. They redefined what government should be. They stated the expectations of government. And a certain Governor Peter Barr listened attentively. It was in tandem with the vision of the man. He had promised them prior to that election he was going to do this, do this. They thought it was business as usual. You know, but he was not interested in street level mendacity. He was not interested in deceiving his people. He was not interested in concocting lies. So he has demonstrated that there is a human being that you can trust within the political terrain. And the people are seeing that very clearly. So basically, what he has come to do now is to satisfy the cravings of ordinary people, the cravings of the masses. And you cannot isolate politicians from the masses. We are still part of it. If they construct road, we benefit from it, just like ordinary people will benefit from it. But we will not recycle ineptitude. It is criminal to do so. So what we need to do is to passionately work for the people, convince the masses, the owners of the government. Like I've mentioned before, that the strongest office that we have in this country is the office of the citizen. Okay? So this is why only yesterday the governor in Abuja, while he was speaking, addressing the people in Abuja, he said he was going to build another University of Agriculture and Technology, University of Education and Technology, schools about to be commenced. He is not interested in this politics we are discussing. He's interested in provision of amenities for the people. But having said this, if you deploy tactically 2 years to also address the design and desire of the masses and create a semblance of chance to also patronize people within the next 2 years, is it going to be an aberration?
I'm listening to you.
So what I'm trying to say in effect is that everything is on course. Few persons that are complaining. Remember, people that play politics are just very minimal, almost infinitesimal in the number of population. But they have voice, they are powerful.
Very powerful.
You understand? But then, in terms of number of votes, it is one man, one vote. That is why in some elections you could see powerful people fail elections in Nigeria. And Enugu is not in isolation. So we must be very careful of ordinary people.
Okay. Well, for those who are watching us, you can actually make your comments, make a suggestion using the hashtag at Freedom Square TV. We'll get your comments, we'll get your views, and the conversation will continue long after this on our social media handles. Oruruo, what do we expect, or what are you going to tell the Enugu to look up to the next 22 months of this current administration? What do we expect? What new areas of development? What are going to be completed in the next 22 months?
Well, I want to encourage our people to stay glued and stay focused. Continue supporting the government and the leadership whose primary assignment is to restore your city, restore your state, is to accentuate the progress that is going on, and to redefine the consciousness of an ordinary Enugu man. To once again start believing in government and believing in presence in government, that there could be credibility, there could be discipline, there could be rectitude, there could be probity in leadership. So expect that in Enugu here, there will be very sound transport system that will connect everyone with road transport, with the buses will be there. There were 3,000 cabs expected as we have plane at the airport. Expect that the school system will come on board. We expect that 260 smart schools will get to function, and that our children will be encapsulated in this order and with a sense of equality. That the idea of sectionalism, clannishness, xenophobia, pluralism in politics will come to the end. It has come to the end. That the governor can come in our time and in our very eyes, be working in a way that anything that is in his own community, in his own ward, is in my own ward, and in one of those watching me. It's unprecedented at the same time. For every project, it is equally disseminated. This is what I expect my Enugu people to see. Just like the Commissioner for Transport said, we're expecting that road transport will also come. Things we have not envisioned, things we have not imagined in the past, that believe to be possible in our own time and climb. So we expect as well that our children will rise up in prosperity and live in a climb where whatever that is learned in London and America will be studied here. So that in our time, people can stay in Nigeria and work in London. They will be so connected to AI, connected to mechatronics, connected to visual and augmented realities. So we expect that 2 billion other torrents of qualitative jobs will be done by this government. He does not notice that anybody is praising him. He does not require the praise. He sees it as a calling, as an assignment. He knows what it means to have a social contract with the masses. When you say something, defend it by action and inaction. So today, what we are seeing today is just a glimpse of many more things you will see. Okay. People who hasn't seen anything, he's just about to start.
Yeah, the last conversation here, if I ask you to rank in order of your appreciation, three thematic areas that the governor, you say, look, for me, of all the things the governor has done, 1, 2, 3 for me, the standouts. Would you want to name just in order of your own?
Well, like Governor Uchenna used to say in the past when I quote, of all the things that God denied me, taking decision is a part of it. So I will take a decision, it's very important.
So let's have it.
An education sector that has 33.2% of that annual budget should be respected and ranked in my world. And secondly, if you look at what has been done actually in the transportation sector and the agenda set in that sector, as a window, as an instrument through which Enugu will be viewed, I think it should be ranked second. And thirdly, with the hope, the massive hope being built around health. In fact, it is not an easy question. I have to concede. Because now I want to give even the third one. Is it what we are doing in the road with the vision of having 10,000 kilometers of road in 8 years? It has not been done anywhere in Africa, not of Nigeria. If it is achieved, it will not only monumental but unprecedented. It's not been done anywhere. So how do I live out a road system that has a fueling system in asphalt plant? How do I live it? I've run myself into confusion. It's okay.
it speaks to the equalness, so to speak, of all the things that the governor is doing. And so, Barrister Stephen Oruruo, Deputy Chairman of the PDP in Enugu State and Chairman of the Disciplinary Committee of the Southeast Zone of the PDP, we want to thank you so very much for finding time out of your busy schedule, for being here, and for providing candid responses, even when they appear to be difficult. It's always a pleasure to have key stakeholders like you, from government, from party, to come help us make sense of government performance and party direction. Thank you very much. And to our viewers, until same time tomorrow, stay informed, stay involved, and stay beyond the headlines. Have a lovely day.